And we
Hello.
made it. Hello.
We were going to come on and go, "Prrr, prrr, prrr." How many lives are you up to, Susie, do you reckon?
Huh, that's a really good question. I would say a few.
So, do cats really have 9 lives? I thought this was just such a fun topic to talk about because we've started doing a bit more with cats and kittens, and it kind of speaks to a different audience. So, this whole point of view that cats have 9 lives, it's like, so do they? Do they really have 9 lives? What is that about? Is that true for you? Is it true for them?
Yeah, exactly. It's very funny because I didn't actually even know where that myth came from. So I did a little bit of research, and it's actually from the Egyptian myths, and the Egyptians were sort of the first people that really had cats as an important part of their lives in a sense of also religiously. And what made the cat such an important part of the Egyptians' life is really not that known. I mean, there's a lot of stories, but why exactly was it so important for them? Because the very first myth that may have created this was that one of their gods took on the shape of a cat and then gave birth to 9 other gods. And so that's where officially they say this
Wow.
is where it comes from. But the funny thing is, in Access, we talk about this thing of like, your point of view creates your reality. And I
Mm.
think this is sort of the interesting part because I was looking at this for a little bit the last few days. Like, what makes us say a cat has 9 lives? And what actually creates it when something happens and they survive it, and then we go, oh yeah, all right, the cat has nine
They're down
lives,
to 7 lives now. They're down to 4. Yeah. And we talk a lot about projections, and one of the most potent tools you have is your point of view. And I think this is vastly underestimated. It's, largely glossed over by a lot of people. And yet with the Talk to the Animals tools and the Access Consciousness tools, it's one of the absolute foundational tools. Your point of view creates your reality. And, for your own life, if you don't get out of bed in the morning and create your day, the reality will do it for you. If you don't get up and create your reality will do it for you, in case you haven't noticed. So, yeah, your point of view creates your reality. It's like, are you willing to step into fully claiming and owning and acknowledging that you are creating your reality? And with a projection, with a belief, a point of view, whatever you want to call it, you then set about creating that. This is how it works, And the
yeah.
more you hold on to that point of view, the more you see it everywhere to prove the rightness of your point of view. So, what if any conclusion that you've come to about your cat or any animal, that they're not crossing off, like we see in the Tom and Jerry cartoons or Roadrunner or those kinds of the older cartoons where they start crossing off their lives and, making a bit of joke about it. But, what point of view could you take about your cat? What point of view could you take about your animals that would
Yeah.
work for you, and honor them and include them in the equation rather than just pointing the finger or the bone, as they say?
And I think one thing we also have to acknowledge, and I say this sometimes in the class actually, but to me this became really true um, when I started to, anyway, it's a story, but I don't want to tell it right now. But the thing is, for me, I have really recognized for myself with talking to animals that there are species of animals that have really chosen to be part of our lives, and it's not that we have conquered them and we have basically made them do it, but they made a choice too, and for example with cats too, cats were attracted to basically food storage, human food storage in the early days, because human food storage also attracted rodents. And what do cats eat? Rodents. So hey, there's a food source. So then, it becomes like a mutual mutual beneficial relationship, right? The cats will take care of the rodents, and with that, the people are happy, so they will nurture the cats, so it's an interesting relationship, and I think we have to recognize that. And then also, cats actually have they have some talents and abilities that have to do with ghosts and entities that are around.
Mm.
And I think that's also why they became a bit of a mythical animal in the medieval times, because they might have hung around people that were working with that kind of magic, and so they got a different, they then had like a different myth about them, which may have also contributed to that 9 lives thing, because in a way it's like, oh yeah, now they're living with a witch, and so of course they have more than one life, and they can witch themselves into living longer and all that kind of stuff. But I think so I don't know why I said all that.
Well, it's interesting because what popped for me while you were talking too is, the whole black cat thing. Even if you're not an animal person, you have this awareness of a black cat, that it's superstitious, or if a black cat runs in front of you, it's like all these crazy points of view that we gather through life and we take on from somebody or somewhere else, that it's like, actually, is this actually true for me? Because if you are creating your own reality, you get to question everything, every point of view. So with my animals, it's like this is just how I treat them. It's like I see them as an infinite being. They have a physical body, of course, but like we have a physical body. But when our physical body dies, does that mean that we disappear and go and never come back? Or do we get to choose another lifetime? Do we come into another body? Do we go off to the heavens? This is a massive topic with people, that people have a lot of questions and also a lot of fear and assumptions about. So we're not going to open that door today, because that's way too big in the scheme of this conversation. But this whole this notion, or these beliefs, projections, whatever they are, superstitions about what a cat is or what a black cat means. It's like, what if none of that's true? Or what if every black cat you see is lucky for you? It means you're going to win money. It's like, what fun could you have with this, and not buy somebody else's points of view that you've never even questioned? And this is, it runs throughout the rest of our life. We just buy things without even questioning, and just sitting there going, actually, is that true for me? Do I actually want to keep holding on to that point of view? Because the more if you look at your life and the areas that aren't working, if you've got something going on with your cat or their body or health or, relationship to them, what's your point of view that's behind that may be creating it, or maybe contributing to creating it? So this is where I love animal communication. It's like, if you don't come to conclusion, or you don't have a presumptive reality about what is going on for the cat or their behavior or their body, and you actually have that ability to ask a question, and truly ask a question, not from a foregone implant or belief or conclusion, a whole new reality can open up for you with your cat, with their body, with whatever it is that's going on. So, do cats have 9 lives? It was really a tongue-in-cheek for me. It was a tongue-in-cheek way of opening the door to looking at, well, what is your point of view? And are you willing to recognize it's so truly powerful and potent? Because the more you use that point of view and project it, you'll see it showing up in your life over and over and over again. And you can either say, well, there, see, I told you so. I told you that was true. We can even go into defending our points of view without even realizing we're doing it. And we do this with our animals. We do this with the projections. So, it is a big, big topic, and one that we pretty much address first and foremost in the Talk to the Animals Start the Conversation workshop. The conversation about projections and points of view is very early in the piece, because our emotions and our points of view are exactly what fuel and trigger and create whatever quote unquote problems we have with our animals. So so that was kind of a bit of a side note, but related.
No, I love it. And I think, in a way, yes, thank you. You said it, it was like a fun topic to pick, not to kind of prove it right or wrong, because And I think, that is the part, Viv, that you were just talking about. It is so, so, so imperative, because I have also seen a lot of people take a little piece of awareness they have about the animal and then construct something out of it that then becomes a projection. Because a lot of times, you have to recognize you are actually aware. All of us are psychic and aware. There's not a single solitary person out there that isn't psychic and aware. But we have been really stifling that ability from an early age, because it has never been encouraged. In school and everywhere else, we're encouraged to go by the facts and go by the knowledge, and not really go by our awareness. And so, nowadays, like, to really open the door to more awareness, you have to then let go of the conclusions that come right after the awareness. So, for example, you could have an awareness that your animal is not doing well, is sick, or has something going on. And then you start thinking about it, and then you start going into all this other stuff. And that's when all these other belief systems come in and can really, mess you up, and mess up your awareness. And then, instead of being in the question, you go to answers, and they usually don't get you much further. They bring you down that road of conclusion, and then things really go sideways a lot of times. And to pull ourselves out of that and really trust these awarenesses that in the beginning might be very flighty, it's like it just comes by with this little whoof, and then it's gone. And when you try to hold on to it and make it into an answer, that's when you get into trouble. So the muscle to build is really to follow these little flighty awarenesses and let them grow, and really nurture them without going into, now I have to have an answer.
Yeah, and I love that description too, Susie, because it's almost like you are building a new muscle. Because remember, from school, from a really young age, you've been taught to always find the answer and to get the right answer. Because if you don't get the right answer, you get a big cross or an F or whatever it is. So it's such a different muscle to build in regards to, I mean, you could ask something really simple like, well, what else is truly possible here with my cat? But when you ask the question, it really is an open-ended question. It's like you're conversing with space, you're conversing with the universe, you're conversing with the cat and its body, but you're like, I wonder what else is possible here. It's not to try and, like you say, Susie, come to a conclusion or an answer, and be gentle on yourself, because like I say, we've been trained into always coming to a conclusion or an answer. To not know an answer or to not have an answer often brings up people's own, I'm stupid, or I'm dumb, or I'm not capable. But in fact, the opposite is available for you if you're willing to have that curiosity and the adventurousness, and not the judgment of yourself if you don't have the answer right there and then. And that flighty, the feather touch that you were just talking about, Susie, when you ask the question and you are literally just pondering it, you might be washing up and a light bulb will go on, or you could just flick something over in a magazine and there's some information, and you start to create the space for the true magic and miracles and communication to start coming to you, rather than, I've got to find the answer. I've got to, because what is that about? Often when there's something that we've decided is wrong, that we go to the worst case scenario. We jump to the worst case possible thing, rather than, okay, what's actually going on here?
Yeah.
Having that ability to ask questions and have a process almost for yourself to step yourself through the question. And, one of the things I was very grateful for from reading the Talk to the Animals book written by Gary Douglas was, okay, does my animal need to go to the vet? Do I need to call out medical attention for this horse or whatever it is? Or is there something else? Is there someone else? And I know that's kind of like a giant leap into really trusting yourself. But again, it's like, if your mind is, or if you're one of those people that jumps to that worst case scenario, or you don't see any other options, A goes to Z, there's nothing in between. What would just asking some questions and just getting present and being still with your animal, what doorways could that open for you? What connection, what greater bond and receiving of your animal could that actually build and create with your curiosity?
Yeah, totally. You
Mm.
know, and it's funny, I was just looking at it again, like this whole idea of, you know, when we buy a point of view and we have to hold on to it, like how we, like for example, my cat Paul, one time, I live in the countryside and we have coyotes, and I'm very well aware that they are there, and during the night I lock him in because of that. But there was a day that the coyote, all of a sudden I saw a coyote literally out my window, and I was like, oh, where's Paul, and so I ran outside, and basically the coyote ran off, but then I also wasn't sure where Paul was or what was going on. And then I discovered him, and he had actually hidden himself, and he was well aware of the coyote. Well, and I
Wow.
could have said in that moment, oh, there goes one of your lives or something, which I didn't, you know. But I'm just saying, it's so easy to take certain situations then as, oh, look at that, he just managed to survive that. um
Mm,
and again, it's really not, what if it wasn't about that, but really about something else, and where you don't buy into these things. And again, because if you have, like Viv, we started this conversation with that, if you have the point of view about something and you really hold on to it, like let's say for example you are counting your cat's lives and now there is only one left,
mm,
you're gonna have to create that situation in a way. And I'm
mm.
not saying that you're now going to kill your cat with this point of view. Please don't go down that road. But there's an energy that you have in your world
Yeah.
that, the loom and doom of the disaster that will now come, that
Mm,
might cost your cat its last life. And those are the things you have to be aware of, because
mm,
with those, you are creating a very strange energetic environment for your animal to live in. Because they are perceiving that energy, but they don't know what to do with that. They don't know, do you want me dead? The other energy doesn't point that way, but it's like, what is this? And so with these strange energies that we're projecting, we can create certain situations that are actually exactly the ones we would like
mm,
to avoid.
mm. Yeah, very much so. So, if you do have stuff going on with your cat right now, okay, do I have a point of view that's creating this or contributing to this? And again, not from being hard on yourself or judging yourself or coming to conclusion, but just genuinely asking a question. So, what else is possible? What else is truly possible for you
Yes.
and your animals? So, Susie, did I see you have a talk to the animals, start the conversation class coming up?
Yeah, actually in June. Thank you for thank you for mentioning that. It's true.
June's tomorrow.
It's basically an online class. So, the Talk to the Animals classes are given all around the world by different facilitators. And please, if you want to know more about them, go to talktotheanimals.com and you will find maybe somebody who's coming live to your region. But the online classes are really a lot of fun too. What I love about them is that the animals are at home with you, and so it's relaxed. We can work on your animal through the phone, through basically through Zoom. It's basically a video class. And so we get to see the animal, and the whole class can communicate with your animal and create something different for you and your animal at your home. And in the live class, you don't get to bring your animal, because when we first started, that created a bit of havoc, and people weren't really present with the class. They were just more present with trying to manage the animal that they brought. So in the live class, you get to bring a picture, which is a different muscle to build, to work with an animal through a picture. But also you do get to have an outing. So that outing goes to either a zoo or a pet shop or some place where there are live animals that you get to play with. In energetically get to play with. Usually, in a zoo we don't get to touch them usually. But anyway, yeah, so the class is really fun, and if you have any questions about, hey, what's my ability here, please come. You do have the ability, that's the thing. We all have the ability to perceive energy. We all have the ability to talk to energy, and it's just a talent that we need to build up again. Some of us are already willing to have it more than others, but it's not that nobody has it. No, you all have it. You just have been burying it. So let's dig it up again.
Yeah. Yeah. And just if you have that curiosity, you probably, in truth, you probably are already communicating with animals in your unique way. And it's just building that muscle and building the trust in yourself that you can communicate and that you're not imagining it. You're not, creating some weird conversation in your head that you think is made up. It's like, well, how much are they communicating? And you are already perceiving that. So, and it's been so fun. I mean, this is one of the benefits of COVID, where we did have to go online with a lot of the Talk to the Animals classes. And we literally have cats walking across computers when it's their turn to have, a session or somebody do a reading or communicate with that animal. The cats literally come and make their presence known. And we have literally had dogs, cats, birds, even we've had birds coming and sitting on the computer on the shoulders. It's like they know. It's like, well, I desire to contribute, but I also would like to be part of the class and be communicated with. So and that stuff you can't deny. You haven't got a stunt bird that you just remote control bringing in. It's such a beautiful way of okay, exit now, enter now. There is it's choreographed with animals, that it's pure, it's raw, it's unedited, and it really gets you to be in the moment and enjoying that spontaneity of interaction. So you get to read other people's animals, you get to it's so much fun. It is. So if you're interested, there are no prerequisites, anybody can join. Kids can come with an accompanying paying adult. So if you've got kids that would like to do this, children under 15 get to go free, and that's to any of the Access Consciousness classes. So a great thing for a mum and daughter or son to do together, or dad or whoever. But infinite possibilities.
Totally. Yeah. And when you just said that the cats will just walk by and be like, hey, it's my turn. This one time we were like in this very, like somebody had like a very significant conversation, and this cat from another person came and sat, like you said, sat there and looked at the camera, not just even the screen, but at the camera. It somehow knew where the camera was and really was staring in the camera. And so, and I kept going, oh, like really going, we need to talk to this cat now. There's something that she wanted to contribute to this conversation. But the person was so in their stuff, and I even said, and it didn't work. Like I wasn't able to redirect that energy. And then it was so funny because the cat looked at the camera, finally just kind of went like this and walked away. And that was the only time that cat was willing to be seen on camera. So it was really funny because it was basically like, it wasn't about the cat, but it was like, hey, I have something to contribute. And when we didn't actually bring that in, the cat just went, okay, fine,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, if you love animals, if you'd like to communicate more, if you'd like to just delve into the most phenomenal animal kingdom adventure ever, Talk to the Animals. I just love it. I use the tools every single day. And, even just walking down the street, cats and dogs or animals will always kind of look at me or connect with me, or they'll walk up to me in the park. And it's just, they sense that energy. And it's such a buzz for me to just be sitting there minding my own business, and this dog just makes a beeline for me. Oh, they never do that normally. It's like, sometimes the dog desires to contribute something to me, and sometimes there's an energy that I can be, or it might strike up a conversation with the owner, and it, changes the owner's life or their day, or, there's this, the level of contribution animals I think is also something that's vastly under received and under acknowledged as well. And I'm talking wild animals as well, not just our domestics. So yeah. So do cats have 9 lives? I don't know. Do they? How many lives would you like your cats to have?
Exactly.
And they have a choice. Remember, they have a choice too. It's their body and their life. Thank you,
Well,
Susie.
thank you, Viv, and I hope this was a contribution to you guys, and we'll see you again soon. We have these regularly, so stay tuned. Thank you.
Thanks for everybody for joining us.